trying to find my way, look past my mistakes. Since you're gone, I still hear what you used to say. It feels like you stay. I could try to cry the pain away and act like it's just another day. But I'll be lying if I said I don't
What's up,
miss
guys?
you.
Thanks for joining us tonight. Little after party a day later, dollar short. Um, Got me, myself, Mr. Buckridge, and the Baron, Mr. Weigland, on with us. Adam, if you will.
Good evening,
Um,
everybody.
Evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us.
The
First and
Baron
foremost,
repeat
the
now. He's no longer a long-time caller or long-time listener, first-time caller. Now he's a
second
repeat.
time,
Second
second
time,
time
yeah.
call. Yeah,
Getting
exactly.
like a butt groove in this seat.
Yeah,
Oh.
right.
Getting comfy.
Like it. But yeah, we just want to, again, thank everybody for joining us and really talk about last night's win, two in a row, right? Kind of crazy. First time in MLS, if I'm not mistaken. Long time coming. But talk about that a little bit. Talk a little about a certain player's departure. Few key takeaways. But plenty to discuss, man. Thankfully we don't have a midweek match this week, but toss it over to you, Steven. Give me your takeaways from last night.
Yeah, just well, takeaway is another win, right? So
Yeah.
I posted a couple things on Twitter in the last 24 hours, but three away wins in a row. Two back-to-back wins on the same road trip. We talked about it in our podcast about this being a business trip. Well, boy, they took that to earnest, right? They
Yeah.
went to Chicago and then they went to Toronto. I mean Orlando, and got back-to-back wins and back-to-back clean sheets. Yeah, I know we'll get into some of the doubters still, but that's progress. One to have three repeat three away wins in a row, that back-to-back clean sheets like that it's just fantastic. That's my main takeaway is just that we're making those little progressions that we need to be able to be competitive in this league. That's what it's going to take. So I don't know, Adam, what are your thoughts on your first key takeaway?
Well, same with you, right? A win is a win. Let's get 3 points up on the board. I too thought back a little bit to the whole business trip mentality, and we'll talk a little bit more as we dig into the game. But I really felt like the approach was professional. You'll hear that, a professional approach to the match. But for me, the biggest takeaway is the consistency. And I know, progress gets thrown around a lot, but I think consistency, specifically in what we're trying to do, you can see what Yap is trying to have the players do, whether it be as we start the games. The last two matches have kind of started very similarly from us. And then the in-game adjustments that he makes at particular times to, at least in these last two cases, protect that lead. So for me, other than just the pure euphoria of back-to-back wins, is and watching us climb that table worst to first, is just the consistency that we're seeing out of the team in the approach.
Hashtag worst to first. I did see that. That's
That's
awesome.
right.
And that's
That's
our new
right.
mantra, right? Hashtag
Yeah.
worst to
Yeah,
first.
well, we
Let's
can we
hope.
can yeah ride that mantra as long as we can. I don't know if it comes true, man. Then you can just stand on top of a mountain and just point at everybody. But
Yeah.
Yep.
I think for me, and this is something I really didn't. I just kind of came to my mind thinking about it. But the team. I said on Twitter, like I expected a lot of rotation. I expected three or four starters to get swapped out just with the short week, the heat in Orlando, the delayed flight going down to Orlando. The team didn't, was, I think like sat on the plane for a couple of hours before they actually departed the airport.
Yeah.
So
It's
short rest, yeah. And Lucho was already kind of spent. You saw, Atanga played a full match. Cruz played a full match. Kubo played a full match. So with all of that, I expect some rotation. But to your point, Adam, like professional, right? Stom said, we're going to roll everybody out. We're just going to take everybody out and do it and go from there. So, that's my biggest thing. Would just be Stom and the players playing for him, going out, committing to it, and he got a full commitment from everybody on board. So
yeah.
that's the biggest thing.
Absolutely. I think that's a big part of it, right? Is they are playing for him, right? You can see it in other teams. Chris Armas, we talked a little bit at Toronto, a little bit of a surprise hiring. And all those fans that wanted Vanny gone, I'm sure they wish they had Vanny back now, right? All those Vanny out people, they probably want Vanny back because that's what you get when you get let go of your coach that's been doing well. You get someone like
Very
Chris
well.
Armas. And those players from Toronto, yes, it was partly of how we suck the life out of the ball, the air out of the ball, but you could just tell those Toronto players, they're not playing for their coach right now. FC Cincinnati's players have been playing for many weeks, if not the whole season, for their coach. Put New York City, possibly in Orlando aside, but you could see it's a unit. You could see it. We talk about it about some of the intangibles, about the chemistry off the field, but you can see it on the field. You can see how elated they are, right? When Lucho gets that second goal, they're just elated. And it's great to see that because they're a cohesive team finally. How about those Instagram stories that they were sending from the airplane coming back?
Dancing, having fun, getting on the plane. Exactly.
Right. There's a European Championship style photos that are coming from this team, right?
Enjoying themselves, enjoying being a part of this team. And I think that's something we really couldn't say with 100% confidence for the past few years was every player seems to be enjoying this team. I mean, even Ben Mines put something out. He wasn't even in the 20. Me and Travis were talking about last night. He wasn't even in the 20. And Ben Mines was chatting on Instagram and on social media about, the goal and Lucho's performance. And it's like, that's the kind of stuff that we just haven't seen. And, for everybody, all the Stam haters, however you're going to say Stam haters, like, these guys are bought in. Lucho, the big stick on him was, he disappears. I haven't seen Lucho disappear for a single damn minute so far this season. I know it's early. I don't want to knock on wood, but he's absolutely bought in. And, again, like we got some shit for him being a DP, but I mean, that strike last night was absolutely a DP type, one, shake on Bradley, and then two, just curl it into the corner of the net. Like,
right. Hey, Adam, how excited were you when he took Michael Bradley's, to the ground?
Well, it cost me a second shot of fireball, which I didn't really care too much about at the time. No, I mean, it to your point, guys, the players, you can see that they're playing for each other, right? Even when things don't go right for us, if something breaks down, there's not a whole lot of complaining. If we go through spurts and things just aren't working, you don't see players getting frustrated. They're sticking to the plan. And again, I think that win against Chicago probably lifted the lid off of that and allowed them to start to enjoy it. And I think that they really went into this game again with that business mindset. But, they're starting to mirror their coach a little bit. Let's go in, let's take care of business, and let's do it for each other. I'm sure as a center back, Yap is he was the leader of men. He was the one that kept those teams together that he was on. So I just see our players doing that. There's a lot more, again, for the team instead of for myself. I felt, especially last year, there's a lot of just hero ball being played. And even earlier this year, that was going on. But you can see the changes because there's success. And I think that you just get that little taste. And I forget, Nate, I think you even put it out, like, confidence is an addictive drug, right? You get that little taste of it and it can just take over for you. And I feel like that's where we are now. I mean, sure, we can walk into Houston and not get a result, but I don't think if that happens, that it's going to destroy the foundation and the confidence that's been built up to this point.
We're making progress to that point, right? That was my fear, a big fear. I had a weird feeling in my stomach last night going into it. If we did rotate, we lose 2-0. Ironically, we win 2-0, but we lose that momentum, right? We lose that. And Toronto, the match before, didn't look bad at Nashville. They blew it. But I was very weary of that. And then to get the exact opposite was, I'll be honest, man, we probably haven't seen that since Harks. If you really dial it back, I mean, the confidence with Koch in the USL was just we're better than everybody. We have more talent by far. It's not even close. We haven't really seen that kind of swagger, especially after that first goal. We didn't get rattled. We made mistakes. Every team does. We gave up one shot on goal, and Vermeer made a hell of a save, but the team, I wasn't nervous at all last night, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Like
That's a great point. Right. You felt comfortable, right?
I felt comfortable, and that's I wouldn't say I wasn't nervous is probably the wrong wordage, but I wasn't fearful. Like, oh, they're gonna tie it. After
You weren't waiting for the shoe to drop,
yeah,
right?
exactly.
Whereas in the past, we were just talking about the NYCFC DC United game. You felt that coming, and you're like, oh yeah. And last night during that game, I never really felt like, I mean, there were moments where I'm like, okay, we need to get back a hold of this game, but I never had that helpless feeling like, oh yeah, we happen to put one in, but we're going to lose this game, or we're going to give up these 3 points that we should have.
We'll talk about what that win means on the table here in a minute. But Nate, if you were looking at one player from Orange and Blue that kind of stood out to you, and maybe anything that was not so great. I mean, just
I'll say a few things. One, I read Adam Kuhn's review of the team, and I said it in our chat. Like, Kubo had a professional foul midway through the first half, and he had a few fouls early, and he ultimately got carded for it. But he had a professional foul where Toronto was on the break, and they hadn't really built any momentum, but they had numbers, and they were driving, and Kubo just did enough to break it up, fouled the player, got warned at that point, but he took that momentum away. He took any chance of momentum coming in, and I said something to some random fan talking about Kubo and him playing midfield, but he's embraced it. His I guess just savviness and soccer knowledge and intelligence, and then his just ability to be in the right place. He is so damn disruptive in the midfield, and he's this sounds goofy, but his heritage, his upbringing, his culture is just professional, hard work, and you see that this year. The dude didn't really speak English. Spoke Japanese. Came to the States. Came to Cincinnati of all places. Had some pressure on him as a DP. Didn't perform last year. Played how many positions has the guy played? Six. Literally six. He's played everything but defense. So that's my main takeaway. And I thought about this for a few weeks. And it's not really just last night, but it's give me 11 Kubos. And you're gonna walk a lot of the teams in any league, because you can't teach that stuff, man. You can't teach those intangibles and that commitment and that discipline. So that's my big takeaway. He didn't have the best match last night. He wasn't bad, but there was moments when he changed the game or prevented the game from being changed. Is probably a better way to put it. So that's my one takeaway. From a bad standpoint, honestly, I don't really have one. We'll hit on Brenner here in a little bit, and it's not really bad. It's just finding his groove, right? Again, confidence. And I won't say any more on that because I'll save a little bit. But yeah, I think Brenner has we were warned that he disappears at times. That's probably the best way to describe it. We'll hit on that in a minute. What about you, Adam?
Well, to kind of piggyback on Kubo real quick, it was his pickup and carry that led to Lucho's second goal. If you go back and watch that game, he probably carried that ball 35, 40 yards into the attacking third and started that entire move, which, again, it's nice to see him now being comfortable enough, knowing to stay home, but then also recognizing the space. But for me, my man crush is Jeff Cameron. He will be okay. So think about this. The last 30 minutes of that game, our back three was Cameron, Hags, and Stanko. Think about that. Take Jeff Cameron out of that equation and put, there's nobody else. That's my point. There's nobody else that you can put in that situation or in that spot on this team that's going to hold that back five together, that's going to keep it organized, back-to-back clean sheets. And a lot of that goes to Vermeer as well. But that guy has been a revelation for this team. We're going to give up goals and we're going to have guys out of position and guys are going to get beat. But good Lord, it's great to have Jeff Cameron back in there behind me, because he's cleaning up 80% of that mess. And the other 20%, Matarita's coming in and cleaning up. Zhao's coming in and cleaning up. Kubo's coming in and cleaning up. So he's just made a world of difference. So, I mean, he's my big takeaway. The more I watch him play and the more I watch him lead from back there, the more I wish we would have had him 2 years ago, right?
The one thing I want to toss on top of that, and I think it's worth noting, is Viacia next to him.
Oh, well, they made the TFC announcers made a comment about the youth with the veteran and just how well they're playing together and how comfortable he looks next to Jeff because of the way he allows him to play off of him. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, no, you're exactly that. I mean, imagine how much Viacia has grown in how many matches if you didn't have Cameron here. Like, and it's going to ultimately happen. Cameron's going to miss a match. He's going to be out. But if Viacia plays without him, Viacia now understands, like, that's my role. I won't say Jeff Jr., but I that's my role. I have to step in, and I'm that leader, and that's my responsibility. And he's already shown signs of it, and that's, moxie, if you will. But it's crazy, man. Like, Cameron, arguably, for everybody that hated on him coming in MLS has been our biggest signing. I'll say that's easy. 100%. Easy. Yeah. Easy. And he's played how many matches?
6.
6? So,
well, and that's the thing is Adam Kuhn put it on Twitter, but he also put it on in his player ratings, and you mentioned it. Here's the last 5 games shots on goal against: 4, 4, 2, 2, 1. In the last 5 games, we've had 13 total shots on goal against, and it's going downward. The first 3 games, 13, 10, and 5 before they got here, right? So if you don't think Cameron and Viacia and Vermeer and this new gelled team is making a difference, just look at shots on goal against.
Well, and Steven, to wrap that too, the second half of that game with 30 minutes of Hagelin and Stanko next to him, no shots on goal. No shots on goal.
Right.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. Yeah.
We haven't seen this even in the USL like we did, but that's because we were so damn good on the offensive side of the ball. We're good. We've got a lot of room to grow. There's a lot of, a lot of drills that need to be run in practice to continue with improving our finishing. But like, I don't know, man. I'll say this, we can move on, but again, credit to Atanga. Like, that dude.
Well, that's my guy. I was going to mention Atanga, so I hadn't mentioned my guy. Atanga was going to be my guy because here he is. All of a sudden, he's a starter, right? He knew Lucati was leaving. Everyone knew Lucati was leaving.
Well, how old is he?
What, 2021?
21.
Remember?
Yeah.
He's
21.
But he has looked the part. In each game, he's gotten better. He's getting more comfortable. That through ball to Cruz. I mean, Cruz had a fantastic pressure on. It was Delgado, I think, that popped up the ball, right?
Yeah.
And Cruz got it right to Tonga, but Tonga saw the moment. He saw Omar Gonzalez, who, what is he, 50 years old now? He moves like he's 60. I don't know. But he's
probably the same age as Cameron, to be honest. But.
No, he is. He absolutely is. But Cameron's twice the player right now. And Tonga to be able to thread that ball perfectly to Cruz to get that opener. And Tonga's growing into this. And so, if you look at the stats or you look at his rating, he's not going to pop out as the top 3 or 4 guys on this team. And he didn't have an overall great game. But you could just see there's moments that he's gaining that confidence. And for him to get an assist in that match on the winning goal, man, that's fantastic.
Well, Vasquez too. I mean, Vasquez is his hold up play and to play the ball back to Lucho. I mean,
just it's
again confident. Yeah, it is, right. And Atanga obviously we all follow these guys on social media, but really his presence on social media and the way he approaches things is, it's so positive. Like, he just believes, right? He has that belief in himself that things are going to work out. And it's unique, especially for a kid that young, to just trust his skill set and trust that God's going to take care of him and put him in the right spot. And it's, I don't know, it's refreshing. Again, like, people can hate on Nykamp all they want, but like, Atanga wasn't supposed to come to MLS. His next step was somewhere in Europe, and lo and behold, like, the kid's making a difference. Even Doyle said something about him last night. Like, he rates him pretty highly for what he is, and that's, a few matches in. So We can
Well, the thing about Italian, you mentioned it. He just believes his belief in God, his faith drives who he is.
Yeah.
Right, and that just makes him calm.
It's hard to battle that. It's absolutely hard.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. I mean, you stay grounded. You have a center spot to focus on, and it's unique, man. Like I said, for a dude that young to just have faith in himself and everything around him is refreshing. So we can progress to the next step, the next part of the night.
Well, let's talk about the table. So there's back-to-back wins, right? We were the bottom again of the East, and everybody's crying about the third wooden spoon. Everybody, and 2 wins, we pick up 6 points. Now we have 10 points on 9 games, right? 1.11 points per game. We've never been over 1 point per game this late in the season. And we're sitting 11th place. Hashtag worst to first. Here we come, right? So this matters, and we're watching games as we're talking here, right? New York City knocking off DC United late. We're rooting for Austin FC tonight against Columbus. Every match matters right now, and especially, Nate, why don't you talk about it? Those matches between East and West matter a lot.
Yeah.
Every match right now matters because it's going to come down that 7th and 8th, 9th spot. It's going to be a point or two.
Yeah, goal differential potentially, which clean sheets. Well,
we dug a hole.
We'll get there.
We dug a hole, but clean sheets help correct that very quickly, as we've seen. But yeah, like we said it when we first started talking about the season, with the way the schedule's balanced out, like it's basically East versus East all year. And we play Houston, which is a team in the West this upcoming Saturday. But anytime you drop points, you lose or get a draw against an opponent this year, that's an opponent in your division that's climbing the ladder, that's climbing the table. So it's a double whammy, right? It's a game that it's like losing a game in your own division, essentially if you talk like NFL or Major League Baseball, right? That's why this Austin Crew match that we're watching, Crew 19 versus Crew 96, if you will, that we're watching, is so important because if Austin somehow gets a result, whether it's a draw or a win, that's points that directly impact the Crew that they can't make up. So with that, the other thing I wanted to say is, like, people were saying, yeah, you beat the 2 worst teams in the East, right? Chicago and then Toronto. But what happened last night? In Montreal too, right? Montreal drew at Nashville, really could have won that game. And then Chicago at home, Soldier Field isn't really a fortress. We saw that earlier in the week, but they drew Philly 3-3. They went toe to toe with arguably the best team in the East or second best team in the East.
They were up 3-2 late in that, right? It was a late goal.
It was a late goal.
Yeah.
So those some of those squads rotated, but like this league has so much parity, and that's why every one of these damn matches matters so damn much. And if you beat the worst 2 teams in the league, that's what you should do, right? You should get those results. Where guess what? Philly went on the road last night, got a point. I'm sure they absolutely expected 3. And Nashville at home versus Montreal, they went into that match. I follow a lot of those guys on Twitter, probably the second largest fan base that I follow on there, just because they're obnoxious and they're good to banter with. But they went in that match thinking, we got this. It's a 2-0 win, easy, 1-0 win, easy. And they had to climb back late to get a draw. So
both those fan bases went to bed disappointed, right? Because they feel like they left something on the table. And I can't get behind the will you beat bad teams, because honestly, there is not a big difference between the bottom team and the top team in the East. I mean, even a team like right now, New England sitting at top of the table, you could argue we deserved a result in that game.
Yeah.
Does that mean we're the best team in the East? No. But does it mean that we can play with anyone in the East? Absolutely. I would have much rather have played NYCFC at Red Bull Arena as opposed to the baseball field. Yeah. I don't know that it really would have mattered on the result because of who we were missing. But that's what we're gonna see now this entire summer with injuries, with Gold Cup guys leaving for Gold Cup. Like, these teams are not going to have all their players all the time. So we should be in every game, or in theory, you should have a chance, because it's going to be a hard time getting somebody at full strength. So we needed to take advantage of when we were at full strength, and we did. And we shouldn't apologize for that. Take our 6 points. Let's make it 9 when we go to Houston. Right. Like, I don't understand that mentality. Well, you beat crappy teams. Well, guess what? New England beat a crappy team. Did they not take the 3 points? Did they say, well, really, we beat Chicago, but they suck, so we'd rather not have these 3 points? Okay, well, then get back. I mean,
Right?
Well, and guess what?
that,
New England's losing right now to FC Dallas, right? One of the
Isn't
lesser
Dallas at
teams.
the bottom of the table in the
Bottom of the
West?
table in the West,
Oh,
and New
weird.
England's down 1-0. Okay, are you gonna
right.
complain? So, but yeah, I mean, I think maybe Ryan just posted in our chat here is we're 3 points from the playoff race right now. Yes, it's early. We're 1/3 coming up on between 1/4 to 1/3 in the season. We're not gonna get ahead of ourselves with back-to-back wins too much. But if you look at the table, you got Red Bull New York at 13 points on 10 games. You have Montreal at 13 points on 10 games. DC United now 13 points on 11 games. Atlanta 12 points on 10 games. What did I just say? 10, 10, 11, and 10. We've had 9 games,
9,
and
right?
we're at 10 points. So we are within a win from being at that playoff line. And points per game, let's see, Red Bull New York and Montreal are 1.3 points per game, DC United 1.18, Atlanta 1.20, or we're at 1.11. We're in the mix. Doesn't mean we're going to get there, but that's what back-to-back wins does. It puts you in the mix. Now you can't just go and lose 5 straight again. But
No.
again, it's progress, right? We're talking about progress here.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing is, Waffles just put in the chat that, like, the same thing I said earlier, like, we, after that first goal, even going in the match, like, I didn't expect to lose. And that's absolutely progress. So we can talk a little bit. We got obviously, player departures. Before we get into that, like, I guess probably the best cadence would be to talk about what we need or what we expect this summer window, which opens the 7th of July. So you got a week essentially. And what the team really needs. You've got Matarrita and Cruz are going to be on international duty, as you mentioned, Stephen, with not just us, but other teams, but Costa Rica calling players up early. So they leave tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken.
They do tomorrow.
Yeah, to head to international duty, which is 2 starters and an 11 that's gelling together. So, I'll toss it to you guys. What do you guys think, really, from a need this window? If you had to give me just one position, what do we need sooner than later as the window opens?
I think, I mean, the low hanging fruit there is creative midfielder. I think it goes without saying, and I'm not sold that it has to be DP. You can get a TAM. The thing you need to get a quality player. You need to get a difference maker. That doesn't mean you have to go out and spend $10 or $15 million. Again, go back to what happened with Jeff Cameron. I'm pretty sure he's not on a DP contract, right? You can find guys that can fit that need or profile that we need, which is whether you want to call it a box to box, somebody that can move in and take over a little bit of that creative role, either when Lucho is out, when he is hurt, because he'll probably pick up a knock, or when he's just not on, because he'll be hot and cold. Every player will be. He's not going to be 100% of the time. So we need that additional creativity to pair with somebody like Barrial or Atanga or Brenner, and give those guys another avenue. Give the other team one more person to worry about. Because honestly, right now, I think when they look at us, they expect that Cruz and Kubo are going to hold, because Yap's going to play them as holding midfielders more than anything, which is why I think, I mean, if Kubo starts to take space like he did and Cruz does the same thing, teams will have to adjust to that, and it'll open up other areas of the field for us. But at the drop, and I hope he has somebody like on the burner already, it's just that creative midfielder. I don't care what level. We've got a spot at DP. If that's what Nykamp thinks that's who we need to bring in as a DP level, so be it. If he brings in a TAM, I'm going to accept it because he's on a bit of a roll, and I'll roll with it. Steven, what do you think?
Yeah, I would agree. It's a midfielder. Stom likes to call them holding mids and attacking mids. I like your term creative mid because it kind of goes on both sides of it. I look at a Darlington Nagby type. I've talked about Chi before in our pods, and we've had it in Slack. I mean, somebody that can play a holding mid role, going from a 6 position all the way up to even substituting as a 10. And that's what a Chi or a Nagby can do, is that they can float. I mean, I think it was against us that Nagby played the 10 He
Yeah.
looked phenomenal.
He killed
Yeah.
us.
He killed us, right?
He did. He did.
He
But he
killed
can
us.
play the six better than almost as good as anyone in the league right now, too, right? And so I think that's what it is it's a multi-purpose midfielder that can slot in next to Kubo if Cruz is gone, can slot in next to Cruz if Kubo needs a break. If Acosta needs a break, you can put him up at the 10. It's an all-purpose midfielder like a Chichi that he could be. I think he would be a DP. And so the thing about that is, with Locadia leaving, I know we're going to touch on Locadia here in a few moments. That makes the DP spot fairly easy to replace. Where a TAM player, we're pretty full at the end when it comes to our roster budget and I mean, we'd have to make some room. And I do think Gerard has got a couple moves in him, right? I don't know, maybe it's Camo, maybe it's Vanderwerf, maybe it's Patterson. We don't know, but there's been enough hints that maybe outside of Loca and Franco, that there's two or three other guys potentially on the move, right? And so I do think there will be room for a TAM player, but it's midfielder for me. That is the piece that we need to connect. The defense has improved with what we've seen. We got some young guys are starting to gel up top. Brenner will get there. We can talk more about Brenner too. Let's stop the Brenner hate. He's doing a lot off the ball that people aren't giving him credit for. He will get his confidence and start getting those balls in the net. But Acosta needs some help in the midfield to help that creation.
Yeah, we haven't seen a match without really Acosta up front, right? And I think you lose a lot. So I'm with you guys. I rumor has it, and I don't know how much you want to believe into this, but that player might already be signed, or they just need
Speak
to
it into
announce it,
existence, Nate. Come on,
right?
speak it
Well,
into
it's
existence.
Nate, do you have a name? You're giving a name today?
I don't have a name.
Is it Granite? It's Xhaka, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, my boy is coming.
Yeah, right. Who needs Mourinho and Roma when you can come to Cincinnati, right?
He's no longer playing the Euros, so
he's available.
It's Adam. Actually, it's Emil Smith Rowe. He's going to come on. He's going to come on loan,
okay.
right?
I'll take ESR in a heartbeat.
So would Villa, but that's not going to happen.
Right.
But whatever.
I'm surprised you guys haven't talked about my hat. I don't know if you can see it.
I can't see it.
European champions.
That's good. I'll take. You know what Arsenal Academy is? What they call it?
Chelsea's training ground.
Yeah. No. That's Europe's academy because you loan everybody out, but it's known as Hale End.
That's true. Yeah,
that's true.
I did know that.
I didn't make that up, but yeah. So between Saka and ESR, I don't want to make this an Arsenal thing, but we'll be all right. We'll be all right. But I don't have a name. But rumor has it it's TAM midfielder. From a few different sources. I'm not the rumor guy. That's Travis's thing. But I still listen and pay attention. But we absolutely need a creative mid, Kyle Scott-esque. Probably won't be Kyle Scott. If it would, sign me up. That'd be kind of cool. But at the same time, you've got a lot of international spots potentially. You mentioned Pedersen, you mentioned Vanderwerf, and Medunyan. And guess what? All three, and Makocho, all four of those guys. Maybe Harris got his green card, but really you're talking all internationals that open up, and that's whether it's South American or whether it's European, that's Nykamp's wheelhouse. So
you were also saying old, non-playing, slow internationals,
right? But you got to say Nykamp's kind of learned a little bit too, right? He's adjusted, and that's.
Sometimes you got to take who you can get because of the situation that you're in too. I mean,
right?
that was reality. When you're plugging a boat, you don't care what you're shoving in the hole. You just got to stop the water from coming on.
Adam, reality matters.
Context of times of moves and when they actually happen do play into the reasoning.
It's a what team,
perspective and context.
Whatever. But I mean, I think we'll see a move probably in the first week of the transfer window. We've got some holes we absolutely need to fill them quickly, especially when we keep this momentum going and get somebody onto the team in practice, acclimated, adjusted, so on and so forth. I guess we can just dive right into Brenner. He's been taking.
Go ahead. Actually, one real quick comment on Cruz and Matarrita, because they both were called up, but it was a 27 player provisional roster that was called up that they do report tomorrow. They've got until Thursday, the 1st of July, to cut that down to 23. why Costa Rica is having their players come early is they just switched coaches.
Right.
They canned their coach after Nations League. He was abysmal for them, to be honest. They brought in actually a guy who I think is going to do quite well. His name's escaping me all of a sudden, but I mean, he's new. He's got to see these guys.
I think it's Frank de Boer, right?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, but a lot of people are like, oh, people are just going to send their B team to Gold Cup. Not for Costa Rica. This is the window for Costa Rica. The Gold Cup is their training ground to get ready for the World Cup qualifiers. So,
Yeah.
you know, whether both Cruz and Monterita make the 23, we'll find out by Thursday. Our Slack was hoping that one or both get cut. Actually, for both players, I hope they stick on and are there. But yeah, it'd be great if one of the two did.
They're both in the 11. If you know, Cruz is a regular starter for Costa Rica, and so is Monterita when he's healthy. So
he's got Calvo that he's competing with right now, but yeah, he's up there. So
yeah. So
we'll know on Thursday whether they're both going to stay for a month or come back. So
yeah. So Brenner, talk quickly about that, and we'll move on to our last point of the night and call it a night. But taking some flack, 13. I see it all over Facebook, and I don't know why I read the Facebook nonsense. It's like, I don't know, guys that have followed the Bengals for 40 years and Reds for 40 years, and all of a sudden they're interested in soccer because it's trendy, and they have these hot takes, and when you question them or why, how did you get that take? They start making fun of you. Like that's their only comeback. There's no logic to it. But Stephen, you said it. Brenner has completely changed the way we press. Completely changed our build-up play, our connecting play. He's had a lot of very good shots on goal every match, and a little bit of unluckiness. But he's been. I've seen Adi's name tossed around with him, and which is nonsense, man. Adi's work ethic was. I don't even know what to compare it to.
One of those construction cones,
right? Yeah, really. That's it. I mean, the construction cone.
At least did a job. At least the construction code served a purpose.
At least it. Yeah, something. I mean, so that's just nonsense, right? These guys think like you've signed. I don't know to compare it to, Tom Brady, right? You've signed Tom Brady. He's coming in. He's just going to start balling. Like that's not the case. We signed a 20-year-old kid that's never left Brazil, that's living in Cincinnati, Ohio, coming off a pandemic, that doesn't speak English.
And no one else speaks Brazilian Portuguese except that Acosta can say a word or two, right?
So, right. So it's like it's going to take time. Nike knew that coming in. Like, so Brenner, like I said last night, I don't know who I was talking to, but once he gets comfortable, and I'm saying that's probably going to be mid-season and after this summer window. But once he gets comfy and starts coming into his own, and he gets on a hot streak, which he will. Like, we're going to be very thankful that we've got him on the roster versus anything else. So people can hate all they want, and I don't try to talk sense to those type of people because, again, I saw a quote. I try to remember this. It's difficult to win an argument versus an intelligent person. It's virtually impossible to win an argument versus an idiot. And I
think Adam said that.
It's true, man. So like, I don't know. I am not at all worried about Brenner. Especially with the way the team's buying into Stom and the way they're playing for one another. A 20-year-old kid's going to be very easily influenced, and that's the kind of influence you want. So I'll let you guys chime in on that a little bit.
Yeah, Adam, before you go, I'll just mention, because you've got a young daughter about the same age as mine. I mean, I think about my 21-year-old who's about to move to Dallas in a month, or my 18-year-old that's about to move to Oklahoma City in a month. Imagine if that was Brazil and they don't speak Portuguese and they're moving down there for their craft, whether it's dance or worship or whatever it is. I mean, Adam, I know yours is, your daughter is kind of been around a little bit too, but imagine if she was moving to Romania and didn't speak Romanian at her age and was expected to perform right out of the gate. It's difficult.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than the weight of expectations, especially on young kids, right? And it's hard because you got to, you have to step back a little bit, and it's hard sometimes to remember what even you were doing when you were 21, much less, well, Stephen, you probably were traveling all around the world because that's all you've ever done. But for most of us, you were lucky to
Gig 'em
get
Aggies. Gig 'em Aggies at
yeah.
21. Yeah.
We were lucky to be out of the state that we grew up in, right? And we knew everything and we knew everyone, and just to be picked up and placed somewhere. The comment in the chat was right on. He's a young DP. He needs time. There's a lot of things that go into not only how you measure his success. Not only how you measure his success, but whether or not he is being successful, right? I mean, you have to look at what he's surrounded with right now and what he's being asked to do, which is different from what he was doing at Sao Paulo, I think. So he has to drop. He's dropping in deeper, and he's letting. We were talking about this earlier today. He's dropping in deeper, and then our Barreal is able to pinch in and kind of and then open up space so that the wingbacks, so that someone like Yal can go fill that channel on the outside, but he's not. When he came over, we were talking about poacher, fox in the box, a guy that cleans up messes. We're not a team that serves the ball very well right now, right? Other than Matarrita, for the most part, we're not a team that should be doing a lot of crosses. We don't have a lot of height. That's not the game we play. So his time will come. I think this window can benefit him as much as anybody else too. The name, Kai Kamara, club legend, has been thrown around, but to get somebody to sit up with him, that can be there to be that hold up forward along with him to that he can play off of, instead of relying on, again, whether it's it's typically been Barrial, but it's Oratanga tucking in with him. It's hard to ask a young kid to do that, right? He's not a guy that necessarily creates his own shot. So that goes back. Yeah. Goes back to needing the creativity in the midfield and things like
Did you
that.
see though the shot he got off at Chicago, where he did get he was in the box, did a nice little cutback move and got a decent shot off. He's improving. He's got more width or more bandwidth than we've given him credit for.
Right? I agree, but right now he's kind of been put up there on an island a little bit.
Yeah.
Because of the way that we're trying to advance and possess in that final third. Some people would say we don't have a plan. I'd like to look at it and say, I think we have a plan. It's just not being executed right now. But, as Atanga has matured, I think you're going to see Brenner come right along with him. As Barrial gains his confidence, and people have to respect, you got to understand. I mean, it's like a hot shooter in basketball. You got to go guard this guy. You got to leave somebody else open. And so that's what they need up there. They need somebody else that they have to respect so that they can't key on him. But his pressing, his work rate off the ball, all the intangibles, the stuff that you don't necessarily, it's like in hockey, you get the assist of the assist. They don't have that in soccer. Like who forced the pressure that forced the turnover that then led to the shot attempt? And a lot of times he's initiating that on that press up top. He's the one that leads that charge, and that's a thankless job. But he's 21, so he can run for days, and that's what we need of him right now. So, but he'll score. It'll come. I have no doubt that it'll come.
Yeah, it will, absolutely. So, I mean, with that, dog's saying hi in the background, but we can, as she does, probably sees a squirrel. But I guess the last thing is squirrel, right?
Yeah. By the way, I heard
is it a sheep out there?
Yeah, it might be. It might be.
I heard there was a rumor that in White Oak last night there was a cue ball running around with a heater in his mouth naked. Is that true?
Screaming "Cold Rain Forever."
Yeah, that was a rumor. He was going bah bah.
I hope not, because I don't want to bail his ass out. But yeah, I mean, the last thing we should talk about is club legend one Jurgen Locadia left Cincinnati today. Medunjanin and Vanderbilt put him on a plane. He said his goodbyes last night on Instagram, and the club themselves put it out on Twitter and Instagram. I'll let Steve. I'll let you go first. Adam, you second, and then I'll close this out with a little Locadia talk, and then we can call it a night, boys.
Yeah, the one word I'll use for Locadia through all of this is professional. I have at times kind of mentioned that maybe his demeanor or his mannerisms weren't the best for this this team from a chemistry perspective or interaction perspective, but his professionalism through all this has been top notch. Knowing that this date was coming, getting on the field even last night and playing, knowing
Yeah.
that today he's getting on an airplane to head to Detroit or Atlanta and back overseas. I mean that's a true professional right there, and he gave it his all. We maybe didn't see the productivity at times. He played injured. He played solo. He came in to do the dirty work. He pressed when nobody else was. Professional and effort is what the two things I will say about Lucadia.
Yep.
Adam?
I'll echo that. I like him. He's like he's our first love. He's our first MLS crush. I mean, he was. He was he's the girl that you saw and you said, "Oh my gosh, I'm going to marry her," but circumstances just didn't line up, and she had to go away to school or whatever the reason was. She's the one that got away. Yeah, and the reasons for that, whether it's injury, whether it was personal, whether it was just bad luck and timing. Nothing but respect for the guy, the way he carried himself, the way he took bullets when he didn't have to, when this team was playing like crap.
Yep.
He was, I think, a tremendous mentor for a lot of those guys behind the scene, and I think he'll be lost, or I should say missed, because of that. But nothing but the best to the guy. I hope we get to celebrate him being successful wherever he goes, and he knows that typically the fans on Cincinnati, if you don't perform, will turn on you pretty quick, especially when you're making a lot of money. You see all the hate Joey Votto gets, but just through it all, just carried himself the right way, did things the right way, and it just didn't work out, and that's okay. But I'll always have respect for the guy, and I'll always wish him the best. Nate?
First, we'll say Kikuta Mane just came on for Austin, and he's going to get the game-winning goal as a tribute to us.
As a tribute.
He just blazed the entire field as he came on.
I'm still a Kikuta fan too.
Me too. Me too.
Yeah,
I mean, I've got a story off air about Kikuta and slide into somebody's DMs, but a friend of mine. But anyway, that being said, yeah, man, Lacadia, I'm going to miss that dude so much. My pup's going to miss that guy so much too. She just ate dinner. But yeah, true professional. The dude, Cincinnati falls in love with a player that cares about the unspoken stuff, the effort, the approach, the professionalism, to use that word again. And Lacadia had all of that. He got a lot of flack for being a DJ, quote unquote, and doing that. But the dude, yeah, that's his hobby, man. All players have hobbies. It's better than going to the bar and hopping in your 911 and hitting 275. So, I mean,
there's a direct comparison. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, it's two shots we've taken at one Fernando I, but
it's more shots than he took in a season.
Gosh. God.
It's more
the jokes write themselves. Oh wait, what kind of shots?
But anyway,
it's more shots than we gave up.
Just continues. Yeah. But I mean, circling back around, I will follow Jurgen wherever he goes. I've already committed wherever he ends up. I'm buying a Lacadia jersey at his next stop. I will root for that dude. I will, if he ended up in the A-League, which he's not, but if he's on at midnight, I'm going to stay up and watch him or get up and watch him at 2 a.m. I will root for that guy for the rest of his career and even post-career, with the rest, whatever he does, because he gave a shit about Cincy. He committed to it when a lot of the players didn't and didn't have a whole lot of support. And he went through a lot, man. With Jan's leaving, which is ironic, FC 20s, where Jans is at now, is interested in him, small world, go figure. But the guy, there's multiple players who said in the locker room, Jurgen seems like the quiet type, but he wasn't. He spoke up when he needed to. Yeah. And for a dude like that, making the money he did, the seventh highest paid player in the league, to be low maintenance, you don't get a lot of that, especially when they're not performing on the pitch. You get, drama or nonsense, or they go release somewhere else.
Man, that's a great comment. Low maintenance. Yeah. He was low maintenance.
Yeah, man.
Because even look at Sim Dion, high maintenance.
Yeah.
Look at some of these guys we've had that have been here, right?
right?
The high maintenance, right?
Like you didn't worry about Jurgen. Like you everybody that watched him by the time of it, end of his time here was just rooting for him. Even last night, knowing that he's leaving, like I desperately wanted for him to go out on top with a goal, with just a banger, something that like shit, there it is, go
Yep.
figures, you know. But and it's okay that he didn't. But you could kind of feel it with his performance too. He had a turn and a shot on goal, and he put it right at the keeper. But you could tell he cared, like he wanted to score. You
Yeah,
know,
he wanted that. He wanted that bad.
he wanted it,
Yeah.
and
I
you know,
blame Tommy. He didn't do enough drills. That's why.
right.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother podcast.
Oh, I'm
Whole
sorry.
nother-
Oh, different podcast.
Whole nother rant, but I don't know. Like I said, I will always root for Jurgen. I am a fan for the rest of his career, the rest of his life, no matter what he does. I appreciate just the effort, man.
Well, and I'll be honest, Nate, you and Travis were on his side from day one.
Yeah, man.
Until tonight, and I give you guys credit because you never left it. You never.
I mean,
left the side.
it's you know, you judge somebody's character and you saw it, and that's really all it takes, man. Like, yeah, just it sucks that he wasn't top tier Jurgen Locadia. If he would have been, the league would have fallen in love with him. The city would have fallen in love with him even more so. He'd still be here, and you wouldn't even flinch at 8 million.
He'd
And
be
you
a
can
bargain.
he'd be a bargain, but and he's going to be a bargain wherever he ends up because I think Jurgen learned a lot about himself while he was here, and you saw that. I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up back in the Netherlands, close to his kids and his girlfriend. Even though he can make more money in Saudi Arabia, I think at this point in his career, he's 28 or going to be 28, but he's a smart 28, and maybe he gets one more paycheck. You're in Europe; it's a shorter flight. I was actually talking to my wife about this today. You know, instead of flying across the Atlantic, you're flying a few hours north. But yeah, or
Big
even bring him with you. Yeah, or even bring him with you at that point. You know, but yeah, I'm gonna miss that dude big time.
Maybe he ends up in Spain. His kids are in Malaga, so maybe he ends up in Spain. Who knows?
Yeah, that'd be a good spot for him. That'd be a good club for him, honestly.
I don't think he'll be unemployed very long.
No. I think somebody's gonna. You know, that's the other thing. Like he could have basically railroaded his career being here and not performing, and he didn't. Right? No team's gonna. They're not gonna pay top tier money, but they're not gonna hesitate about signing him and taking a chance. So we can end it on that. Gonna miss the dude, man. Absolutely gonna miss the dude. Hope whoever fills his roster spot has that same approach. So I'll leave it at that. You guys got anything else you want to say?
Yeah, I'm going to put you guys on the spot. So where we are today, 11th
Mhm.
place, right? 10 points on 9 games. You're going to have your crystal ball right now. Where do we end up in the East at the end of November 7th? 34 games in.
Adam, you'll go first. Let me go first.
I'll just take the bullet. 9th.
Okay. I think I'm not far off. I think it comes down to decision day, which is at home this year, which is nice. But I think it comes down to that last match.
We play Atlanta, and we play Atlanta that last
Yep.
match. Yeah.
So I think they're going to be in it too, right? I think they're going to be in that same spot on the table where, you know, we'll see how this summer goes, but I think we're going to be right there, 7th and 9th. And that's what it's going to boil down to. And that's ultimately was the goal this year, man. Be competitive, be in the hunt down the stretch, make that last match matter. You know, I'm gonna go one step further, Steve. I'm gonna say we get 7th. I'm gonna say we make the playoffs. And the reason I say it is because if things continue to trend the way they are, you have a summer window, and for fuck's sake, man, Cincinnati's due. we are absolutely due for something. So
well, you have to remember too. I'm sorry, but you're right, because on the back end, our schedule is we have 3.
So
don't we have 3 games total against Chicago, Toronto, and Miami? Who do we play 3 times?
Nashville.
It's not Chicago. It's
Nashville, Miami,
and Orlando, isn't it?
Might be Orlando, which is not
Atlanta.
Great.
It's Atlanta.
It's one of them. We have Atlanta twice.
Somebody text us. Come on, somebody. Look at the details.
Either way, down the stretch, guys.
It's the Southeastern guys.
We've got.
It's Toronto. We play them twice in September.
Do we really? Nice.
Both at home, probably.
Wow.
No, a home and an away.
Okay, fine. Orlando again.
Gosh knows if they ever open up their border again. So.
Yeah, right. Well, but that's another thing to bring up, and we can end it on that. But we play shit. We got like out of the last, I think, 14 matches, like 10 are at home or something like that.
Yeah.
Yep.
And there's 4 in a row where this team's not traveling and everybody's traveling to us.
Yeah.
So again,
that'll be big.
yeah, like that's and with 26,000 on hand most likely, which is vastly different than a home match, 3,000 miles away from Toronto when you're in Orlando with nobody around you. So
26,001 because we found out one more person starting to come back to the games. we have one more person back on
I'm biting my lip. I almost bit through it.
back
So
on the
yes, I saw that today. I did
one
see
more
that today.
person.
Yeah.
Sorry.
yes,
That's good.
But yeah, I mean, it is going to make a big deal, and I think if our schedule is more weighted towards the teams that are like us, I like our chances.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
I
man.
like our chances against the Montreals, Atlantas, Miamis, Torontos, and Chicago's to just get points, and that's what we need to do.
Guys, Kakuda's first touch fell him again. Shit.
Did he fall over himself? Or what?
No, he might have got fouled. He was on the left side of the box, and he had the pace, and instead of light first touch to get into the box, he got fouled / heavy foot. God bless.
We'll even take a draw down in Austin tonight. We'll take something off the board there. So.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Appreciate you guys doing this. Appreciate everybody that's listened and put up with us for this long. We'll be have a podcast out midweek. Want to give a shout out to my wife for watching literally soccer from noon till now, and not complaining 1 minute. And whoever the dude was at Dingle House today, we ate lunch and recognized the podcast and gave me a shout out from across the restaurant. That was kind of cool.
That's
so
awesome.
small world, boys. But
Adam, who's your shout out to? That's good. I like these.
I should have said this in the beginning. It's to your daughter, Steven. She's a national champion, man. Come on. You can't shout out your own kids, so I'll do it for you. Congratulations. I saw your post. I think that's awesome, man. You should be very, very proud.
Appreciate it. No, we are. I'm happy for her. All the hard work, she's earned it. You know it. I mean, it's tough. Like the injuries and everything you've got to go through to be able to grab a national champion at the end of her competition season. This is fantastic. So I appreciate that.
Pros to her.
Yeah, pros. There you go. My shout will continue to be to all the sheep out there. We love you. Keep on the trail. Don't fall over each other. Just welcome new sheep into the fold. We'll leave the 99 looking for the one. It's all about the sheep.
Yep,
it's true, man. That's why we do this. It's why when I first talked to Kevin Noonan a year and a half ago, and ultimately got nowhere with it, but I told him first, man, we're fans first, and that's the whole preface of this. That's the whole point of this, is to kind of create that. So
you did see him kind of mooch off of my tweet last night, right?
Yeah,
he got a lot of likes after that, didn't he?
I have no ill will toward Kevin.
I don't either. I like Kevin.
Yeah, he's a good dude. Yeah, just wish he would have responded.
I'm glad he's happy with his new gig. That's
and I'm glad Stom reached out to him. That says a lot about Stom.
Yeah.
So,
amen.
All right, guys, we'll prost, and we'll talk to you here in a couple of days.
Prost, gentlemen.
Prost.